Oh, thank you very much, sir, and thank you for inviting us to testify. Consumers Union is the independent, nonprofit publisher of consumer reports, and we don't just test toasters. We try to help people with health issues, and we're big fans of comparative effectiveness research, which we're using to save people, we think, millions of dollars in getting the most effective, safest, best buy drugs out there. If Dante were alive writing about the independent health insurance market, it would be in the eighth circle, just above where the uninsured are stuck. It is exhibit number 1 for what's wrong with American health care. I was going to go into that, but I think the opening statements, Mr. Camp, Mr. Stark, that's Coles to Newcastle. Our statement documents why it's all goofed up and has some very moving, heart-rendering horror stories from people around the country stuck in that market. It's easy to see why it's a dysfunctional market. First, you've got basically for-profit insurance companies whose fiduciary duty is to make money for their stockholders. That's just a fact. And then you've got the distribution of health care costs. Let's pretend that this Ways and Means Committee is the entire American health care system. The 40 of you are it. And we're going to spend $2.4 trillion this year taking care of you guys. And let's say the 50% of you who are the healthiest, Mr. Rangel over to Mr. Pomeroy, Mr. Camp over to Ms. Brown-Waite, would be 20 of you, 50% healthiest. We'd spend 3%, $72 billion on you 20. And God forbid, hope it never happens, but let me pick on the junior members. Mr. Yarmouth, Mr. Roscom, let's say if you were the 5% least healthy, we would spend $1,200 billion on you two. 1.2 trillion on you two, 72 billion on the 20 in the upper row. It's a privilege of seniority, I guess. But you can try to regulate that. You could try to get these for-profit insurers to try to cover you. It's like leading a horse to water. They won't always drink. It'll always be a hassle. It's like, for a consumer point of view, you lose frequently. It's like a constant game of whack-a-mole, and it's just no fun. And that's why Consumers Union would like to see a public plan option out there, somebody whose fiduciary duty is to you in Congress, to the American public, and who would be delighted to insure you too. Switching subjects a little bit, I have to say, unfortunately, on behalf of consumers, most of us are lousy insurance shoppers. We don't get a good deal. The evidence is everywhere in Phoebe, in Part D. This is not something you go tripping off on a Saturday afternoon, let's go insurance shopping. We don't do a good job. If you want to have consumers help drive this system towards value and savings and quality, we're going to need some help big time. My statement gets into it, but basically we're looking for an office that can help with what's the quality of insurers, a place where you can go to complain, find out what others were complaining about, a place where you can get cost comparisons, and very, very important, we need a place, maybe it's NAIC, but the definitions of these terms. Our current magazine issue has a story of a couple, thought they had hospitalization, fine print, starts on the second day, after the lab tests, after the surgical room fees. They get stuck with a big bill. Doggone it, hospitalization should be hospitalization should be hospitalization. Drug coverage means chemotherapy, means antiemetic, the common sense stuff that consumers need. And we need to define those out and so the public knows them. The most important thing you can do is give us a manageable number of choices. Not this 40, 50, 60, even 80 choices of minor little differences that just confuse the marketplace. We need something like Medigap, which has A through L. Even that's too much. Get it down to some meaningful choices, and yes, Mr. Camp, choices. But they could be A through G, meaningful choices, and before a person signs up, becomes eligible in whatever plan you guys put together, the person has to see the cost and the quality ratings of the comparable plans that are out there. I bet you CBO would give you a ton of savings for that. Let me conclude, but just say I hope this Congress can become one of the great historical Congresses of our nation's history by finally, after an almost 100-year struggle, bringing every American affordable, secure health care. Thank you very much.